Unsolved.
JonBenet Ramsey case, 5:52 a.m. On the morning of December 26, Patsy woke up around 5:30 a.m. and John was taking a shower. So Patsy went into her bathroom and did her hair and her makeup. And then she went down to the second floor and looked at some laundry. And then she went down to the first floor and to make some coffee. But when she was there, she saw a note on the stairs. So she ran up to JonBenet's bedroom and she wasn't there, and she screamed. And then she went downstairs to call 911 at 5:52 a.m. So this episode is about, does that time make sense? 5:52 a.m. Would it take her 22 minutes from the time she got up to make that call? Is that reasonable? So we're going to look at how far it is to the airport, what time they would have to leave, what time they were scheduled to meet their pilot, Mike Archuleta. We're going to look at what they said and look at the police interviews. So let's begin. John Ramsey stated that he took a sleeping pill and he set the alarm for 5:30 a.m. according to John and Patsy's book, Death of Innocence, which was written several years after their police interviews. As a matter of fact, in the book, he changed the time a little bit when Burke went to bed by about a half hour. In John's words, Patsy, Burke, JonBenet, and I plan to meet Mike Archuleta, our pilot, at Jeffco in the morning for a 7 o'clock departure. And he states that Melinda, John Andrew, and Stuart would arrive at 11 at Minneapolis Airport. In Patsy's words from Death of Innocence, got to be at the airport by 6:30 or so. So that's giving the time that they needed to be at the airport, where John was saying what time the flight would take off. In Patsy's first police interview, she was asked, "So you were going to get to the airport about a little before 7 so you could take off at 7? Patsy: "Yeah, we were going to get there about a half hour before." So here's a graphic that I made that shows the flight times and times they would arrive. So John, Patsy, Burke, JonBenet, and Mike Archuleta would leave Jeffco Airport at 7 a.m. and arrive in Minneapolis at 10 a.m. their time, which would have been 11 in Minneapolis. And that flight would have took about 3 hours. And then Melinda, Stuart, and John Andrew would have left Atlanta at 8:45 to go to Minneapolis, which is about a 2 hour and 45-minute flight, and they would arrive at 11:30 their time, which is 10:30 in Minneapolis. And then the reason that John's flight, even though it's a shorter distance, takes longer is because John's airplane flies about half the speed of a major airline's passenger plane. So John, Patsy, and their children would have had to have left their house by 6:15 to get there approximately a half hour before their flight time. So the alarm clock set for 5:30 a.m. is reasonable, because if you think if they set it at 5 o'clock, then they would have had an hour and 15 minutes to get ready. And that seems like more time than necessary. And if they set the alarm for 6 o'clock, then they wouldn't have had time to leave by 6:15. So it's very reasonable that they woke up at 5:30 a.m. that morning. This is from Patsy's interview with the police, and I'll read just a little bit. I went to my bathroom. I did not shower that morning, and I just put my clothes on and did my hair and makeup, and then I started down the stairs. John was still in the bathroom and I stopped kind of briefly there in the laundry area, and I remember the ironing board was up, and I think I fussed around with this little red jumpsuit of JonBenet's, because it had some spots on it. So if you calculate Patsy taking 10 minutes to do her hair and makeup, maybe 15 minutes, and then looking at the laundry for 5 minutes, that's between 15 and 20 minutes. And so finding the ransom note at 5:45 or 5:50 is very reasonable. So let's say Patsy found the note at 5:48 or 5:49 or maybe even as late as 5:50. She looks at the note. She realizes what's going on. She runs up to JonBenet's room and sees that she's not there, screams for John. John is already getting out of the shower, so he comes down, say immediately. They talk briefly, they check Burke, and then Patsy goes right to the phone on the first floor and calls. And according to their police testimony, that's what happened, that she was calling, and then John came down and started reading the ransom note while she was on the phone. I think the phone call at 5:52 a.m. fits, and that would suggest that they're telling the truth, Patsy and John. Because if you look at it in an alternate way, what are they doing, sitting by the phone and John saying, no, don't call yet, wait, hold on, wait, we're gonna call right at 5:52. Now, call. That seems hard to believe. It seems like if they staged all this, they would have just made that call at their convenience or at a close to the time. It wouldn't be exactly at the right moment.
Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.
Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and on the next JonBenet case, we'll look at that mall performance that JonBenet gave and who was there. And so that'll take a little bit of research. So I'll see you next weekend. Tomorrow night, the Zodiac Killer case. See ya.